Devabhaktuni Srikrishna, a public health researcher, joins us now. Also with us is Mohammad Rafiuddin from program lead at CEEW. Bhakti, I have to start by asking you, this projection, I mean, some part of me had lost hope early on. This just is not going to give me sleep at night. At this projection, for 200 years, we're not going to have clean air.
Yeah, that headline is extremely disturbing, and I think the reason is it's kind of transitioning everyone's energy to clean it to electricity is like boiling the ocean. And in the short term, much more progress can be made by focusing on the diesel vehicles. I think that's the focus now. You know, everybody's thinking about how do I reduce pollution, but it's actually far more effective to reduce the pollution from the diesel vehicles, which are very few in number, compared to all the petrol vehicles and all the other energy sources. And so that, I think, is the part that's the hopeful part, is that this has been done in other places like California, Europe, and there's many case studies of this. And the reason why is that the problem you're seeing now in Delhi is that of atmospheric stagnation that's trapping all the particles in the winter time period. So it's not only a pollution problem, it's a meteorological phenomenon. And those are disproportionately affected by the particulates, specifically the black carbon particulates from the diesel emissions. And that problem is actually much more easy to solve in the short term using diesel particulate filters. These are fitted on diesel. And in fact, that's what the BS6 standard says. The BS6 standard is for the new trucks. It requires these clean filters on all the new trucks, but it does nothing for the old trucks. And that's what India is missing. You need to consider not just the new trucks and the new buses and the new diesel vehicles, but the legacy fleet. And that's what's not part of the plan. And so the real opportunity here is recognize that changing everyone over to clean air, to clean transportation is going to take decades, if not longer, as a Stanford already said.
Decades, in this case, centuries.
Centuries, right?
This is centuries. This is 200 years. And when there is clear evidence that other countries have managed to clean up earlier. But Rafiuddin, you were on this program last time and you said something very critical that stayed with me. You said if we were able to clean up our vehicles, just replace our vehicles and get at least BS6 and above, also migrate at the same time to EVs and get the rest of the things, just vehicles in order, we would manage to bring down our air pollution by 20%. This data actually says we are not even close to it. The current measures are just not enough.
No, I think we will have to look at carbon emissions very differently from air pollution, because air pollution is perhaps much more complicated compared to simply equating them to carbon emissions. For instance, air pollution comes from your dust, air pollution comes from your brake and tire wear, air pollution comes from also from coal-based sources, which not only release your carbon dioxide, but also release gases like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxides, which again become particulate matter through chemical reactions in the atmosphere. So just looking at carbon emissions and trying to say that carbon emissions are going to we are going to eliminate carbon emissions in 200 years. Therefore, we will also be taking 200 years to clean our air is not really a sound argument, in my opinion. For instance, your infographic also shows that the United States is also going to take about 128 years from now to clean up. But if you look at the air quality in the US, it's perhaps many-fold better compared to India.
Yeah.
So we have this is probably a much more complex picture, and we probably should not just be looking at carbon emissions and trying to project our air quality pathways based on what we are seeing from carbon emission pathways.
I see. That's a fair point. Dave, do you want to come in on that one? That entirely clean, I think that's what the Stanford study says, that you will be entirely clean, and that transition will take long. To be fair, is it also because of how complex a nation we are? We're also a growing nation. We are a developing nation. We are a capitalist society. Is that all of that playing a role here as well?
Yes, in fact, sorry.
No, to Dave first, I'll come back to Rafiuddin.
Yes, you can't halt the economic activities. those have to keep going on. That's not going to change. What you can do is make them cleaner using the diesel particulate filters and removing the black carbon, which is causing has a disproportionately high cause of the stagnation that you're seeing. That's trapping the pollutant. So you can. It's too hard. It's hard. It's not. It's too hard to change all of these carbon sources overnight, but it's much easier and much simpler to change the sources that are causing the black carbon particulates that are cooling cooling the ground and warming the upper atmosphere, causing the temperature inversion. So your problem really is about stagnation as well as pollution, and that you can target the stagnation problem much more simply with diesel particulate filters. And that's what I think is missing from this, is that, transitioning to pure, non-carbon sources will take forever. And in fact, that's not necessarily what's needed. Like in the United States, we require diesel particulate filters on all trucks and buses, and we still use them.
All right, so what is required then? Rafiuddin, come in on that point. If we were to clean up our air and strictly, have a lens towards better AQI and better PM 2.5 levels, what exactly is required, both in the short term and in the long term?
So air pollution is a multi-sectoral problem, and you will obviously have to have interventions across sectors, not just one sector. Obviously, you'll, like you said, transportation is a dominant source of air pollution in Indian cities. But if you go to the rural areas, it's household cooking and biomass burning. That's the dominant source of air pollution. So it depends on your geography. It also depends on, the sectors that you
That's true.
choose to target, depending on the economic and the social feasibility. And on the basis of that, you'll be able to reduce air pollution. The way, for instance, you also cited the example of China. China also looked at it as a multi-sectoral problem. It had an ambitious program to reduce air pollution, and it managed to reduce air pollution by almost 40% in the Beijing airshed in a matter of 4 years, which is unprecedented anywhere in the world. Whereas other countries took longer, 15 to 20 years to manage this feat. So the bottom line is it's a multi-sectoral problem. It's a complex problem, which obviously needs interventions across sectors, and there's no silver bullet to this.
Right, there's no silver bullet, I get that, Rafiuddin, but give me solutions, give me your playbook. If the environment minister is listening to you right now, and he's finding this problem as complicated as you are, and we often get this criticism, right, that we are constantly questioning, but where are the solutions? Give me solutions. How should government actually approach this?
So clean up transportation, that's one solution. Try to move to cleaner fuel standards as much as possible. And wherever you can electrify, try to electrify. And then improve public transportation in Indian cities and also Indian towns. Because right now the public transport infrastructure that we have currently is inadequate, falls short of our own standards, in fact, in many Indian cities. So ramp that up. Then you have, you've rolled out an ambitious clean cooking program, the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, trying to move away people from biomass-based cooking to LPG. That was an ambitious program, and it's also given you gains. Now ensure that the program sustains, continues, and people actually use clean cooking solutions. Connections have been given, but are they really refilling their cylinders? Are they continuously using this for cooking? Ensure that. Eliminate crop residue burning, especially in areas with high air pollution. For instance, the Delhi airshed bears the brunt of crop residue burning from the northwestern region of India. So eliminate that through various solutions, both in situ and ex situ management. Clean up your industries, move from coal to gas. So these would be the top solutions that come to my mind. And these are time-tested solutions. These are not solutions that don't exist now, right? You can borrow them from your own country. You can borrow them from the examples of other countries. But these are time-tested solutions. This is the playbook.
That's the playbook, and it's simply out there. All the government has to really do now is just enforce it, right? But it's not always easy to enforce. The thing about moving to public transport, apart from the fact that it has very poor connectivity, last mile connectivity is an issue, safety is an issue. Like a woman would find it very hard to sort of take public transport in the early morning hours or evening hours, etc. But there is also a sort of expanding middle class in India, which is aspirational, which is growing, wants to own that first car, wants to get out of the bus lines and actually, be able to have their own vehicle to take their family along. That was the big dream that even the Tatas at one point were selling, right? Even with cars like Nano, etc. So we are sort of, breaking away the dreams of young, expanding middle class because you want to sort of balance it out with pollution. My question to you is there a way to balance it? Is there a way to keep them both happy? Or should the government just say, this is for the larger good, and thus some aspirations will have to wait?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I think the important point is the petrol emissions, even if they keep going, they're only 20% of the black carbon and maybe a minority of the overall pollution. And yet the focus of the interventions has been on a uniform approach to pollution, trying to control all sources. And really that's, I think perhaps the mistake that's being made is you need to, the diesel emissions actually punch much higher than their weight. They cause half the particulate pollution, according to studies, and of that 80% of the black carbon. And so this is, the solution, the problem is not just pollution, it's the stagnation that's in Delhi. So specifically to Delhi, to the earlier point, in different geographies, there are different solutions, but specifically for the Delhi air apocalypse, stagnation is really the main cause of the problem right now. And so, because the pollution is not able to escape. And so, when it does escape,
I have very little time, so I want to give that last word to Rafiuddin very quickly to say that how do you balance? Is there a way to balance here? Or we'll have to go hard against middle class dreams?
I think we'll have to take the balanced route because the sticks not always going to give you the results. It should be a balance of carrots and sticks. And obviously, you'll have to balance aspirations with what's required for public good.
All right, easier said than done. Our political class, if they intend to solve this problem, have a task at their hands. For the moment, there are some low-hanging fruits that can be picked up, and we really hope they are listening into all the suggestions that are coming to us from all you experts. For the moment, thank you so much for joining.